TYNEE Talks. We're gonna talk about it right here. Yeah. You ready? It's TYNEE Talks right here. We gon' talk about it right here. We gon' talk about everything you like. I'ma make it real clear. It's TYNEE Talks right here. We gon' talk about it right here. I'ma talk about everything you like. I'ma make it real clear, cause it's TYNEE Talks. And I'ma talk about it. Yeah, cause it's TYNEE Talks. And I'ma talk about it. Hey, welcome to this edition of the TYNEE Talks podcast, the podcast where you come to laugh and learn, the podcast that educates and entertains. I am your host, TYNEE Talks, and I'm doing a special series called the Wedding Season Engagement Series. And this is installment 2 of the Wedding Season Engagement Series featuring my handsome fiancé, Terence. And today's episode is entitled, It Ain't All Roses. So I always have to give our sponsors a shout out. Today's show is brought to you by s.o.sbling. s.o.sbling is an independent consultant of paparazzi accessories. s.o.sbling gives you amazing jewelry for $5. Visit s.o.sbling.com and you can be the showstopper at your next event. You can also follow s.o.sbling on social media at s.o.sbling. So we wanted to entitle this episode, It Ain't All Roses, because when you're in a relationship, and especially when you're heading into marriage, I mean, it's just not always roses and candy and rolling out the red carpet and clouds and all of that. Sometimes you're going to have, a little bit of bump in the road, little thorns on the roses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's all worth it.
Sometimes you lean a little closer and it smells like
ooh. Was that chatty? So, okay. So we want to start off with some stats, y'all. So psychologytoday.com reported that more cohabitation happens more than ever before, like in today's society. And people who live together are less likely to get married if they don't set the intention first on and they just live together. They are less likely to get married, and they are less likely to have planned children. So basically they laid up with each other, they cohabitating, and they have oops babies instead of planned babies.
Right. I saw a couple of other things just to point out real quick. Most people now who are 30 and over have lived with someone else without being married. The majority of people of our age and up. And that's pretty interesting. And also the majority of kids who are born out of wedlock, the most of them come from these cohabitation relationships, not just, we don't live together. And on top of that, many people, they live with one person, break up, live with another person, break up, live with another person. It's a cycle of not roses, right?
And thank God I broke that cycle, because Terence and I both have only ever lived with one other person of the opposite sex. He was married and I cohabitated and had an unplanned baby. So,
but even me bringing the marriage thing, even now in America, I mean, and I am an example of this. Half of the marriages end up in divorce. This is not all roses, but look, first time marriages, 41%. That's not good. Second time marriages, you not getting it right. 60% divorce. And then you make it to number 3, we know it ain't gonna work out for you. You make it to number 3 because that's 73% of third marriages fail.
Yikes.
Yeah, we gotta get it right.
we gotta get it right on this. Well, it'll be my first go round.
It'll be my number 2.
And it's number 2. So you add that together.
Ooh,
40, 60. That will say the 100% we gonna get it right.
We gonna have to, because the odds are against us.
Yeah,
the odds are against us that we're gonna make this work. So we go.
So here we go. So we're gonna share some things that wasn't always roses on our path of relationship.
Right. So first, well, let's get to the whole dating part. I mean, dating seems to be so easy and so fun. For most people, we get together and we start dating.
Have a good time. He's paying for the dates.
Yeah,
I paid for some too, y'all.
Yeah. You know, when we first went out, that's what it was about, right? Anyway, you know, but when we get to the dating, for us, I think the very first issue that really kind of stood out to me was when I was going to get you to meet my sons. When could you meet my children? That concerned me. That weighed on me a lot. How'd that make you feel?
It concerned me too, because he had met AJ. Like that was one of when we first met, my son wasn't in town. He was in Michigan. And so I was just, you know, like I mentioned previously, I told him, well, you know, we're seeing each other often during this summer loving, having a blast. And I was like, well, my son coming home when school starts, so that dynamic is going to change. And because I was a single mom and I did live in another state and I didn't have like babysitters like that, it was going to be a thing where you're going to have to meet my son. Right. And a lot of the dates might be at my house, or you're going to have to take both of us out. So he met my son, you know, early on, which I didn't let my son meet a lot of people that I dated, or I didn't introduce them as a romantic partner. It was just like, it's a friend, it's a homie, and he didn't see nothing beyond that. So. Right,
and I had joint custody with my son, with my ex-wife, with our son, still do. And so my son would be over with my youngest. He would be over, and I would have to figure out, well, can today come over this weekend? Or like, well, I got my son this weekend and I'm not ready. And I knew it stood out. I understand completely, because I met her child. And on one side, I was trying to hopefully keep the peace on another side of things. At the same time, I was genuinely just had my concerns at the same time. It's something I had to feel safe with. That's what I had. I didn't want to hurt my sons. I was really more concerned about how they would feel. And I didn't want to hurt. And I had to make sure that, okay, this is going to land correctly. But, you know, it did. Everything. Barbecue.
It worked out.
Had a great time. It ended up working out.
Yeah, we met like Terence at a barbecue at his place, and he invited AJ and I over. And it was just also funny, because we're gonna talk about the AJ a little bit later, but Terence had already told his sons about AJ. And so they was like, oh, you been treating our dad bad? Because, you know, AJ was trying to defend his single mama castle.
You're right.
He wanted to be my man.
Yes.
And it's like, no, son, I ain't one of them mamas where you my king, you my everything. No, mama need a real king she can kiss on.
Right.
In a romantic way, not in a son, I love you way.
So what about, what's the other issue?
So another it ain't all roses situation that happened was our first baecation, right? And so the baecation was very important, because one of my previous coworkers had already told me, like, her and her now husband, that was like a make or break situation when they went on their first vacation. And she had told me that he told her later on that solidified for him that would be his wife. So when I knew we was going on our first vacation, like, stakes were high.
Ooh, the stakes was high. I felt it. It wasn't said. It wasn't explicitly said, but it was implicitly understood that the stakes were high.
It was understood. So we didn't go far on our first vacation. We went a few hours away to Austin, Texas, and San Antonio. Like, we split our time between both of those places. And so, you know, since he's the man, I let him lead the charge of getting the hotel.
She said 3 stars.
First of all, he gonna keep running with this 3 stars. I ain't no 3-star chick.
She did say that. I wasn't saying that you a project chick. You said 3 stars or better.
When you asked me, like nobody had ever. Well, okay.
Offered that, honestly.
I didn't.
You offered that to me. That's fine. I understood the assignment when you say I understood it, but obviously.
No, I recall you asking me like, how are okay with you? You asked me about like these ratings. So I never really thought about it because I always stayed in like nice hotels. Okay. You know what I mean? So
I'm just saying.
Anywho,
I still misunderstand.
The point of the matter is the hotel that he selected almost made me check up the deuces. Okay, so we get to the hotel. Well, when we first got there, you know, we kind of like set our things down, and then we went to go enjoy like the town. Like we went to go see a movie first because it was like a new movie out. I don't know what it was, but we went to go see it. And then when we came,
sorry to bother you. Go see it.
Go see it. So we went to go see. I thought we saw that at the theater here.
Because the lady at the movie theater was going to tell us about the Airbnb she had for us because you wanted to get out of that hotel.
So I had got a little glance of the hotel, but after the movie, we go back to the hotel. Did we party in the city a little bit?
We did.
We partied first.
6th Street.
We partied like rock stars. It was lit. You know, I was drunk in love, all of that.
Yep.
So then now it's time to go back to the room. And I get up to this room and I'm looking like, I ain't about to sleep up in here. Now y'all need to know something about me. My mama, shout out to Beverly, always made sure that me and my sister and I experience, you know, life in a good way. And so when she would take us on our family vacation, she would get 5-star hotels.
Okay.
Because she wanted us to like have that experience, and when we grew up, like we wouldn't be all impressed with a man who might, you know, take advantage of us and all this stuff. But anyway, this wasn't a 5-star hotel. We get to the room and it is dirty.com. It's dirty.net.org. And I said, I'm not sleeping here.
Dirty is not the word, but that's okay.
What did I say?
No, I'm saying that we have been arguing over how to define this room, which in the end makes me concede to it was bad enough, but my heart wants to defend. I want to defend myself now. Ladies and gentlemen, talkers. I did not intentionally choose a crap hotel. It ended up being.
Okay, it wasn't his intention. Yeah. So he wanted to defend his pride.
Yes.
But I was looking like, and he really was trying to defend it because he had to talk about stuff. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. So then I go in the bathroom and I see a roach. And I was like, get my stuff. Get my shit. We got to go. And so we go down to the front desk.
No, you actually decided to go ahead and sleep. I woke up and saw another roach, and that made me go down to the front desk.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, we got
because he was trying to defend it and make me feel like
and she was mad about
like I'm crazy or something. And so then he ended up seeing one. So anyway, we grabbed our shit and he went downstairs and was trying to negotiate with the lady at the front desk about is there another room. But it was another roach motel. If you got roaches in one, it's roaches all over. So you know me, if you know TYNEE, if you know me in real life, if you don't know me, you know me, only know me through this. I know people wherever I go on Guys Greener. And I called.
Thank God.
I phoned a friend. And who worked at a hotel. And I said, can you get us a nice hotel? And the friend came through. Shout out to Polka.
Shout out to you.
And we left.
I had to eat that.
He ate it. So what did we learn on that trip?
So I had to learn to be vulnerable and just realize sometimes mistakes happen, and I can't let my pride get in the way. I just can't let my pride get in the way and just defend just in the end what ended up being a bad situation. And
I didn't write him off.
Thank God.
Although I couldn't, because he is kind of like, even though he was trying to defend it, he didn't defend it in a disrespectful way. And we did have a really good trip planned. Like we really enjoyed the festivities and activities that we did. He's good with activities. So it wasn't all, he just made a poor judgment. Sometimes the internet will lie to you.
It did lie to me.
Like most recently when we went to Memphis.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it lied to me.
And I picked that hotel, but online it looked nice.
Yeah.
And I also want to say that Terrence made up for this situation. He took me to the Omni. And if you know about Dallas, the Omni is top tier. Okay?
Right.
And our subsequent vacations have been superb. Okay, I'll let you live.
Okay. Thank you for letting me live.
So what's another thorn in our rose along the way?
Not a thorn, but definitely a bump that has been smoothed out. And that is the dear brother AJ. Oh, the good brother AJ.
The good brother AJ.
So like she told y'all earlier, it did start off, with him trying to claim his territorial space around his mom, who's been with all his life. And like she said, this is a package deal. Like, so I had to end up meeting him to just go over there. I met him and he claimed me as a friend, which was great because I love children and I was his buddy. But I didn't know I was supposed to remain his buddy forever. And it had nothing to do with her. Like I was really over there to be his toy, like the Richard Pryor movie.
Yep, the toy.
He basically purchased me. It's like, thanks, Mom. You got me this big black guy who can come into my bat cave and play these games with me. And Hope, where are you going, sir? You want to go see my mom? Well, then you can go home.
And he would flip out.
Yes, he would flip out. And it just progressively, it was just, you're not gonna be my dad. My dad will beat you up. It's just, I understood it.
And I think at the time, AJ had a smidgen of hope that me and his dad would get back together. Yeah. I didn't have that hope. Bless his heart. But AJ was holding out. But now he's off that.
Oh yeah, he's off that.
We have growth. So, after some of those little bumps in the road, we decide that we're going to.
And ultimately, it was AJ that made us decide to live together.
Which Terrence ended up telling me later on. And I love to say this, that they say if a man wants you, he'll come get you. Terrence came and got me, which he says that was a growth moment for him because he said that I wasn't prepared to move. But he came and he packed up my apartment. He got me a storage unit that I didn't even know that he purchased to put my things in as we transition to merge, our merger.
Right. And the whole point of this merger was, of course, the intention was we're like, look, we're going to see if we can put this together and it'll be a benefit for us so we can get married, but also a benefit to AJ. It's just like we need some stability in his life also. So I understood as a package deal that I'm coming in and I want to share a life with her and her son, right?
Right.
So we got to see if it's going to work.
And that's something that he actually told me after we moved in that was a driving force because he had saw me as a single mom. And he actually told me that he didn't even realize as much of the things that his mom went through post her divorce, being after his mom divorced his dad. She was a single mom, but he didn't even realize the depth of what she had to endure until he saw me doing it on my own with one kid. Right. And his mama had 3. Right. And I had 1, but if you know AJ, that's like 10 people in one. 10. And so he kind of saw like the struggles that I was going through, like getting off work, going through Dallas traffic, coming home, doing homework, getting dinner. It was just
all of that.
He noticed it was like, dang, how is she pulling this off? So he told me that was a driving force for him, to help me. And that just really spoke to my heart. So it was a trial run though, because I didn't want another situation where I lived with a man who wasn't going to be my husband. So it was a trial on that 1-year lease.
Yeah, basically, we're going to get married or not. Now, I didn't know that this lease was so important to her, but I did understand that this was what this was, that our intention was to see, can we make this work and get married? All right, so I understood that at the end of this, or the next phase of this had to be marriage, not just infinite living together. Right.
And some people might not believe in that, the term shacking up, but I need to see how clean you are. I need to see a lot of things
Yeah.
Because I ain't about to sign no dotted line and then you crazy or you abusive or any of these things that I know that, Christianity say don't shack up and do these things. But sometimes you need to see somebody in a domestic element.
Yeah. So
and he was good.
and even speaking of that, that's what, when I would say when we were dating, that I love this honeymoon phase, right? But I was ready to get to the real, and I knew that the real would come, especially when we were living together. We get to see each other when they angry, sad, all the other things that happen. You don't just wig off. Right, exactly. Breath, whatever. It's like whatever you got going on, because you want to get to the real part of things. So I said this to her, and it kind of stood up in our relationship, because I said I had learned this kind of concept from this book called The Spirit of Intimacy, where a sister basically said that in the West, in our culture that we live in now, as opposed to Africa, we start our relationships at the top, and then we just hope to stay in this honeymoon phase where we're just, like the love languages say, high. We're just constantly high, and we don't. And if we come down, then we can't be together because now you make me upset. It wasn't like this before. So now that the high is worn off, then it's like, I really like you like that. Right. So I wanted to get to the real, because that's where the real relationship and love is going to come. Right. And I respect that. So now we're phased into living with each other, and it ain't all roses. I mean, it's good though, but there was, some things. So one of those things being cooking. Yeah. And delegating what that was going to look like. We talk about that in another episode. Yeah, that was a thing, because y'all know my mama was a cooker like that. She'd cook at 10 o'clock at night when she got off that second shift. But your girl, I don't like to do it like that. I like it more. Hey. Well, another thing ended up being, little brother was a little hesitant with his credit score. Yeah. I'm credit shy. I don't want to talk about it. Your girl is a credit guru. I'm 700 plus. Yes, she out here. Up in here. And he didn't want to show me that credit score, and we wasn't going to move forward. So your girl printed out the 3 credit bureau forms. Grab you by the ear. So we can ship those on out. Where it's at. And now we got to understand it. I understand now, yeah. So after we got the little stuff like that, cooking, credit score, check. Okay. Do you like it? Yeah. Is you gonna put a ring on it? Yeah. So his cousins. Y'all gotta know that Terrence and his family are super close. So all the first cousins are friends, second cousins, but mainly the first cousins, and it's 11 of them. Yeah, we deep. And all of them was getting married. Yeah, they were. Every single cousin. It seemed like it. Love was in the air. Love was just, and it was so funny that you say that, because when my friends kind of saw our dynamic, they would ask, do we got some cousins? They all get married. And I'm like, girl, the women that scooped them up too. So hey, these Alexander boys is hot in these streets. So the cousins get married, and I'm looking at him like. So that look that she gave me came out. We was on a walk, and basically she just kind of let me know, you kind of dragging your feet, and I think you putting your cousins as some type of excuse, because I had said to her, we're gonna have to. If we're gonna think about getting married, we're gonna have to push it to some distance after the last cousin gets married. So I'm like, because the family, I want the family there. You mean to tell me I gotta wait till all 19,000 of your cousins get married before I can get married? Wedding takes some planning. I wanted everybody there. It pissed me smooth off. Didn't realize it, but she held on to it for a minute, and then finally came in, relieved that, and let me know. And then, you know what that did? I said, oh, okay, let me start searching for this ring. Brother started looking. Hey, I was on the clock. I'm talking about, okay, let me start moving money around and just be super serious and get on the ball. And I was getting on the ball. Because we on second lease, and I will, after the second lease, sir, Right. So
do great all by myself. Not bad, great.
we having conversation about what a ring should look like and things like that, but I'm not telling her that I'm really just diving into it like that. But by the time I had narrowed it down to what I wanted, I need to know how big her finger was. And she presented me with this opportunity to kind of figure out the size of her finger. AJ had gave me this ring, and it's a child's ring. He's like, you can marry my mom. That's when I knew I won, right? So AJ is like, you can marry my mom. Give her this ring. And I was like, well, I see how small it is. Let me measure it. So I measured it, figured out about what the ring size was, and then she said something about wanting a ring, and I said, oh, you want a ring right now?
And I'm like, is this the moment? So he goes and gets it, and I'm like, this is it. And he come out with that ring.
And I put it on her pinky. I want to know, because I've read on the websites, because I like to look stuff up, that it said that you can about estimate the size of the ring finger based upon the size of the pinky.
Unbeknownst to me, so I'm pissed. So I run out the house and I call Tonika and I'm like, this nigga did not propose to me. And I thought that he was. She's like, why you think that? And I'm just, but he's on, because we on our way somewhere. He comes outside. So I had to hurry up and end my conversation. But he kind of low-key knew, and then he was antagonizing me about that. He was antagonizing me because he knew that I thought that's what it was.
No, I only knew that you was trying to have a conversation that was about me. I just didn't know what it was about. You didn't tell me for a while. You just like, I was like, you was talking about me and you didn't want me to hear it.
Yeah, and I got
but
more
I was
mad.
Kind of jabbing at her. I wasn't mad about it. I was like, dang.
I got more mad because you were asking.
She was pissed. I didn't know. Now when it finally was revealed, I was like, oh.
So, in the closing, we had some more, things that wasn't all roses, and that was my health. Mm-hmm. So in the midst of us living together, and even prior to the engagement, I had some health scares. I had a cancer scare. Post engagement, I couldn't walk, and y'all know my allergies. So I had a lot of, and one thing that stood out about Terence when I had my cancer scare, because I had to have the way insurance is set up, I had to have money up front and even in order to get the surgery. And I was like really sad about it. And he was like, no matter how much it costs, your life is more important. Right, we're gonna pay for it. Like, we're not going to not address this problem because we don't have how much ever it costs. But it worked out. Yeah. We ain't in no medical debt, and it is all paid off. So right. Shout out to God. Shout out. So last week, guys, we want to leave you guys with some jewels, just to know that it ain't all roses, but the roses don't smell like boo-boo. Oh. The roses do smell good. Yeah. If you do some. I mean, one, we do think that you do have to be intentional. Be real with people and be intentional. Like, if you really thinking about being married, and especially if you're gonna move in together. Mm-hmm. Before you move in together, before you sign a lease together, that needs to be understood that this is a trial run. We want to end or go through this process to marriage. Mm-hmm. All right. And then you want to be patient and vulnerable, like in the baecation situation. Mm-hmm. He had to be vulnerable that he did make a poor choice. Mm-hmm. In this hotel, but we use that funny little story. Mm-hmm. But just in a relationship in general, you got to be patient and you got to be vulnerable, but don't be so patient in the sense that you take bad things. You got to know the character of the person that you with. And Terence has, good character. Mm-hmm. Where there were things that I, could be patient with, so that we could get to the other side. But with our intention, it was or is to get married. Right. We got to work with each other. We cannot, you're going to get into arguments. Your goal shouldn't be to win the argument. The goal should be that y'all can have understanding so that y'all can both be understood. And sometimes people are going to tell you things that they need you to understand about you. And they got to be real with you and say, hey, this is
when I'm getting off of you and I don't like it, or I wanted to see some improvement, and I'm not gonna leave you. I'm just letting you know we can be better if you keep this in your mind and work towards not doing it. If you love me, you would try not to do it. So we got to be real with each other.
And you got to give people the opportunity to make the change.
Yep.
So after you have the conversation, whatever may be bothering you, you can't be like, okay, I just told you about that last week.
Right.
Like, give it time for the change to happen. If it goes past, I guess 6 months. I mean, that's a little bit too long, but you can decipher what that threshold is for you.
Right.
And lastly, like I said, be real. Just be honest. This is the person that you should be able to be vulnerable with, and both parties should create a safe space where each person feels like they can air their grievances. And when a person knows that they have a safe space to air their grievances, then they'll feel comfortable. Then you won't hold things in. Nope. You will address them. And we were watching that new show with Mike Epps and Tootie.
Yeah.
Kim Fields. Yeah. But one of the things that they would say was transparency. So we kind of adopted that. We was already doing it, but now it's just funny. Like transparency. Okay, now we're gonna say whatever it is we need to say. But we hope that you learned something from what we have shared today. We want you to know that it ain't all roses, but when those roses do bloom, it's a beautiful thing.
It's beautiful.
All right. And lastly, I want to say that this episode is brought to you by SOSBLING. SOSBLING is an independent consultant of paparazzi accessories. SOSBLING gives you amazing jewelry for $5. Visit SOSBLING.com so you can be a showstopper at your next event. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to tell your friends, and don't forget to follow me on @TYNEE TALKS. That's TYNEE TALKS. Lord, did I forget? All right. Bye.